Microsoft President Brad Smith was grilled on Capitol Hill yesterday over the company's security practices. This follows cyber attacks on the tech giant that compromised federal agency communications, including the email accounts of Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo and U.S. Ambassador to China Nicholas Burns. For more on this right now, we want to bring in Chris Krebs. He is SentinelOne Chief Public Policy Officer. He also served as the inaugural Director of Homeland Security's Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, and he ran U.S. cyber policy for Microsoft. So, Chris, thank you for being with us. You've got a huge depth of knowledge about all the issues surrounding this. First of all, why don't you explain what happened? What was the particular attack and the attack team that exposed this?
Yeah, the hearing yesterday was called in response to a report by the Cybersecurity Review Board, which is a Department of Homeland Security entity comprised of experts from the private sector, academia, as well as the federal government. They were researching an intrusion by Chinese cyber threat actors last year into a Microsoft product known as Exchange Online. They were able to get into email accounts for a number of different federal government agencies, including the Department of Commerce, as well as the Department of State, and access emails. And the report was fairly damning and detailed a number of security failures inside Microsoft. And Brad Smith, the President and Chief Legal Officer, stepped up and showed up in front of Congress yesterday and answered a number of questions from the members of Congress. And I think, you know, in typical Brad Smith fashion, he did as good of a job as any witness could do in that setting yesterday.
Yeah, he threw himself on a sword, said they accepted all of the criticisms in the report, said they had to do better. Different tack than some companies and some people take when they go before Congress.
That's right.
But take a look at what actually happened. I mean, I've heard different conflicting reports. Some people say, look, these are problems that exist in every one of the large companies that are trying to do service on this. You're never going to be completely secure. And if you have Chinese or Russian hackers who want to get in and find you, they're going to find a way to do that. So is Microsoft unique in this? Is this something that they really should have done differently?
Well, the Cybersecurity Review Board called out very specific failures inside Microsoft from a very basic security perspective, not having multi-factor authentication on certain accounts. And this was not just, frankly, this Chinese threat actor attack. There was subsequently earlier this year information on the Russian SVR, the same group that got into SolarWinds back in 2019 and 2020. That was able to access accounts through very basic attack techniques. And Microsoft, frankly, was not transparent, according to the Cybersecurity Review Board, in how they disclosed that information to government partners, as well as to private sector victims, as well as the public in general. And that was a key point of contention yesterday in the hearing, is the delay, the 6-month-plus delay, when Microsoft issued a statement on how the attack happened with the Chinese actors, what they corrected in their public blog. So there was a failure of transparency there.
One of the other issues seems to be just the setup itself, the idea that you would be selling cloud services to the government or any other vendor or any other customer, and then selling security as an add-on feature. I think Microsoft is changing the way they look at this to some extent at this point, but you know, selling like, here's the product. If you want it to actually be safe and not get hacked, you got to pay this much more.
Again, that was a key point that surfaced yesterday, both in how they issue licenses and the products and services that come in certain licenses. In the mid-tier range, what we call E3, you get additional security features at the E5 level, but guess what? It does cost more. There was a concern around a monoculture, an IT monoculture, and that perhaps we're stacking up too much responsibility and concentrating risk on Microsoft products when you think about operating systems, productivity, email, and yes, now security. And, you know, I think throughout the security community, there's a sense that more players, more participants in the market leads to innovation rather than piling everything up into one single basket and relying on one security team across one organization to deliver the results everybody wants.